Hey, this is Jeff Rose. Doing something a little bit different today. You probably noticed that I've got this new webcam. I've been kind of filming these videos for my blog and some other projects I'm doing. But today, like I said, I want to do something a little bit different. Last Wednesday, I had attended, it's called DC, Discipleship Community, kind of like a Bible study that I go with the Vine. And the topic was talking about being an evangelist. And it's one of those things that I've realized that as a Christian that I'm horrible at. I'm not the type of guy where we start talking, and even after like a 15-minute discussion, that I say, "Hey, by the way, where do you guys go to church?" Or have you heard of the Vine? I'm just horrible at it. So I've got this new webcam, so I thought that I would maybe give it a try. So this is kind of my shot of evangelizing to you. Whoever you may be, whoever's listening to this video. But before I kind of go on and talk about how much I love the Vine and how great that is, I just want to kind of tell you like my backstory as far as like where I kind of came up, as a Christian, how I was kind of raised, and just so you kind of see, because the last thing I want to do is just try to make you think that I'm something that I'm not, that I'm this great, holy, holier than thou type individual, because I'm not, and I don't want that to come across this way. So, as far as my upbringing, though, I was predominantly raised a Baptist. When grew up in West Frankfort, and my grandmother and my father both took me to First Baptist Church there in West Frankfort, and so Sunday school, big church as we called it, that was a Sunday routine for us, and vacation Bible school and the whole thing. And as I got a little bit older, we ended up switching over to a Second Baptist Church, and just went there. And it was always a good thing. I always felt that church was good, and always enjoyed going. And then as I kind of approached college, moved away from home, didn't go as much. I don't say I had a falling out, but if I went to church once a month, I would say it was probably a rarity, for me. So. And as I got in college, for those of you that knew me in college, I like to have fun, partied a lot, had a lot of friends that partied a lot, and, I enjoyed my years, and it was fun. And as I got older and I met my wife Mandy now, we started going to church, and we started going to Second Baptist over in West Frankfort, and, living in Carbondale and driving over to West Frankfort was pretty tough. And not to mention the fact that it was, nothing against that church, but there was something missing. There was something missing spiritually that we didn't have. So we kind of stumbled along, and it wasn't really back until I got back from Iraq. Me and her were working out at the rec center, and a gentleman by the name of Brian and Carrie Davis, who are the epitome of evangelists. I mean, here we are at the rec center. I think he's doing dumbbell thrusters, and I'm doing like my CrossFit, doing my pull-ups or something. And somehow a conversation in the rec weight room turns into, where do you guys go to church, and you've heard of the Vine? I'm not gonna admit it was a little bit weird, but it was also good because we were looking, we were searching for something. So they told us about the Vine. And I don't know if it was that Sunday or the following Sunday. We went to go check it out, and it was cool. It was totally different. As I said, having predominantly been raised Baptist, so it was kind of a new thing for us. So we started going, and I won't say that's when it happened, because we went on and off for. It was almost a good 3 years. I mean, there were stretches. I remember we didn't go to church for like almost 2 months or so, and we had our first son Parker, and they had an awesome kids program, so that started. And honestly, I can't remember what the deciding factor was, but the one thing about the Vine, one thing that they, and the Vine is a non-denominational church, so I mean, any upbringing, any church background that you have, you can find a place there. So they've got an awesome kids program. So we enjoyed taking our son there, Parker. He enjoyed it. Had fun meeting kids and just kind of being out and meeting some people. So But one of the big things that kind of makes them different, especially different from the Baptist upbringing, is they have the things called small groups. And if you've been to Baptist churches, you go to Sunday school. Sunday school is you go usually about an hour or so before big church. That's where you kind of have your Bible study. What the Vine does, which I will admit at the first time we learned this, we thought was kind of strange, but they have these things called small groups. And what this is that they have these little more or less Bible study meetings, but instead of doing it on Sundays, they do it throughout the week. And somebody will actually host this small group at their house. And these small groups, hence the name, are small, anywhere from probably 6 to 15 individuals. And basically the idea is that you're trying to find a group that that's kind of your age group, or maybe people that you can just kind of relate with. So kind of the small groups that we got plugged in when we're young, married couples with kids. And, and that's kind of how we did it. And we tried one out, and actually it was Brian and Carrie Davis's group. And for whatever reason, it just wasn't the right timing for us. We made every excuse in the book not to go. So I think we maybe went one time or maybe twice. But, we made excuses and we didn't go. And I think maybe another year and a half went by. And we just said, me and Mandy were like, we need to go. We need to do this. And we've been going to Vine now for, over 3 years. And, we called it our home, but we weren't really plugged in. We knew some people, but not as many as we should know. So, luckily there was another small group, closer to home. It was with Darren and Jessica Skelcher, who Mandy had went to school with in there in Carterville. So we thought, hey, what the heck, we'll give it a try. And so we got plugged in, and it was cool because here's what I've learned, and a lot what I didn't have in the Baptist background is that I call myself a Christian. I am not perfect by any means, and if you know me, you know that. But the one thing that I have in common with a lot of the members of my small group, and a lot of members of the Vine in general, is that we're not perfect Christians, but we're just trying. We're just trying to be better, and that's the underlying theme, behind it. So, and that's kind of why I love the Vine, is just that I feel real. Like I feel like that as much as I fail, I'm surrounded by people that will just try to pick me up and try to motivate me, and just try to be a better Christian, and be a better father, and be a better person. And that's what it's done for me. Why it took so freaking long to do it, I have no idea. But I'm still working on it. It's still working to this day. One of the things here recently is that I bought the 1-year Bible. My goal was obviously to read it in 1 year. I have to confess it's probably going to take me about 2 years to get through it. But I'm trying. I'm trying to understand. So for some of you that are maybe looking for a church home, I don't want to take you, if you've got a good church home, I'm not trying to steer you away, but if you're like me, that you were just kind of looking for something, I encourage you to check out the Vine. It's just a cool church. The music is a little bit louder, which I absolutely love. People like to raise their hands, and kind of like you're at a rock concert. So that's a little bit different, but you definitely get used to it. They serve coffee that you drink during the service, which I thought was really weird too. But you know what? You got 2 kids and you're trying to make it to morning service. A good hot cup of coffee goes a long way. So anyway, so that's all I got today. I just wanted to kind of share to you kind of my story, and kind of why I've kind of found the Vine, or the Vine found us, however you want to look at it. And I encourage you to check it out. I'll have a link here to their website. They've got 3 services. I think 3 services. I'm not sure, but I know they've got a 9 and 11 for sure. And I'll tell you what, the 11 o'clock for a family of 4 with 2 young kids, it just makes it that much easier to attend. So anyway, just wanted to wrap this up real quick. So if you got any questions too, give me a call. I'll be glad to tell you about my experience and what to expect, and let's see if the Vine's the right fit for you. Take care.